When America is faced with a tragedy, Americans expect a leader to step up to the plate and bring the country together, not fuel the flames and make things worse. Joe Biden ran on being that guy. In 2017, in the midst of Charlottesville, Biden emerged to tell Americans that there was no better guy in Washington to unite the country. He promised he would fight for what he called the soul of America, and he'd fight for every American, regardless of party or race. But what we're seeing coming out of this White House is the very last thing Joe Biden promised he'd do. Today, he made it clear it was never about you. It was always just politics for him. In his first visit to Buffalo, New York, a city mourning after a racist nut job went on a shooting spree, Joe Biden treated it like it was just another campaign stop, where instead of uniting a broken city, he used it to blame America for being complicit in white supremacy.
White supremacy is a poison. It's a poison running through it really is. Running through our body politic. And it's been allowed to fester and grow right in front of our eyes. No more. I mean, no more. We need to say as clearly and forcefully as we can that the ideology of white supremacy has no place in America. Failure for us to not say that, failure in saying that, is going to be complicity. Silence is complicity.
So if you don't talk about white supremacy all day like Democrat politicians, you're complicit in white supremacy. Got it? And you're the reason America is failing.
The American experiment in democracy is in a danger like it hasn't been in my lifetime. It's in danger this hour. Hate and fear are being given too much oxygen by those who pretend to love America, but who don't understand.
Gutfeld made a great point on the 5 today, which he almost never does, so I'm happy to relay it to you. Joe Biden is admitting that democracy is at its greatest danger point in 80 years, while Joe Biden is president, and while Democrats control the Senate and the Congress, and after he got elected on a promise to unite the country. Is Biden just reading words on a teleprompter, or is he confessing that his presidency is a failure? We have no idea. But does this sound like someone who cares about actually healing the soul of America? If Joe Biden really cared, he'd go out there and talk about what really fueled this rampage and why it wasn't stopped. He'd talk about the failure of school closings that isolated this kid and allowed him to slip into the dark crevices of the internet where he was radicalized. He'd talk about the failure of his own red flag laws. This kid was investigated by his school for being a wannabe school shooter. He was sent to a psych ward and was investigated by police, but he went on a mass shooting anyway. Biden doesn't talk about the real issues. To him, it's about how he's going to spin another tragedy into a political cause ahead of the midterms.
As President of the United States, I travel the world all the time. And other nations ask me, heads of state in other countries, ask me, what's going on? What in God's name happened on January 6th? What happened in Buffalo? What happened? They ask.
That's obviously a lie. Joe Biden hasn't left the country since March. And I'm sure Poland's not worried about January 6th. Seem a little more upset with Russia. But did you hear what Joe Biden was trying to say? He's trying to link the Buffalo shooting with January 6th. He's trying to say Trump supporters are marching to the same tune as the Buffalo shooter. If you're ultra MAGA or if you're a mass shooter, you're basically on the same side. He sees his polls in the gutter, the media's turned on him, his own party's turned on him, and he's facing a bloody midterm. So Biden's feeling desperate, and he's using this tragedy to go back on offense and chip away at your Second Amendment.
Look, I'm not naive. I know tragedy will come again. It cannot be forever overcome. It cannot be fully understood either. But there are certain things we can do. We can keep assault weapons off our streets. We've done it before. I did it when we passed the crime bill last time. And violence went down. Shootings went down.
Cities cracking down on guns are actually seeing a rise in crime. Joe must know that. You can crack down on all the guns you want, but if you don't crack down on the criminals who use the guns, crime will stay high. But he wants to make guns into a problem so he can blame Republicans for violence, when we all know the real violence day after day, night after night, is happening in the inner city. This is also about connecting people who are mentally unfit to carry a gun to responsible gun owners. Then Biden focused in on the shooter's ideology, his manifesto about the white birth rate.
I and all of you reject the lie. I call on all Americans to reject the lie. And I condemn those who spread the lie for power, political gain, and for profit. We've now seen too many times the deadly and destructive violence this ideology unleashes.
This is what Joe Biden said about this very thing in 2015 when he was vice president. Watch.
An unrelenting stream of immigration, nonstop. Folks like me who were Caucasian of European descent, for the first time in 2017, will be in an absolute minority in the United States of America. Absolute minority. Fewer than 50% of the people in America from then and on will be white European stock. That's not a bad thing. That's a source of our strength. Not only our Muslim communities, but African communities, Asian communities, Hispanic communities, and the wave still continues. It's not going to stop, nor should we want it to stop. As a matter of fact, it's one of the things I think we can be most proud of.
And the media obviously doesn't want to cover record gas prices, crime, inflation. The only thing the media loves to cover is Trump. And Reverend Al Sharpton, one of the deepest thinking Democrats on MSNBC, managed to blame the Buffalo shooting on Trump.
What Donald Trump as president did, this young man, 18, was 15 years old then. And as he later says he started reading and was radicalized, it was not that radical to him when the president of the United States said there are fine people on both sides. The mainstreaming of this hatred, the mainstreaming of we will not be displaced, this kind of mainstreaming of this opens and broadens the whole pathway to people like this young man to feel that they're standing up for something.
Biden's teed the media up to play the race card. And just like I said last night, the left is going to use this tragedy to make Republicans feel guilty.
Make sure, almost guilt them. Guilt the Republicans. Well, it's not the... No, that is the party. That's what you're voting for. You don't get to pick and choose. You don't get to say, well, I like their fiscal responsibility. No. You see the 10 people that got killed in Buffalo? You own that, okay? That's the way you got to talk to people.
You own that. So that's the playbook. If you're white or a Republican, you're just as guilty as the Buffalo shooter. And the only way to absolve your guilt is to vote Democrat. Is this how Biden pictured the soul of America? A country more divided than ever, a media talking down half the country, more hate crimes, more black-on-black crime, people struggling to buy baby formula? Joe Biden hasn't healed the country at all. He's made things worse. And according to NBC, 75% of the country thinks we're heading in the wrong direction. Well, guess who's leading us there? His speech in Buffalo just proved to us he doesn't care about the soul of America. It's just a line that one of his staffers put in the prompter, just like Ultra MAGA and whatever else the White House is trying to spin. But Americans aren't going to fall for it. We know when we're being divided and conquered. So how about this? How about we worry about our own souls, and Joe Biden can worry about how he can stay president, and Kamala can worry about how to become president.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.